Have you ever been judged not for your talent, not for your hard work, but just because of how you arrived? Imagine being rejected from your dream job simply because you rode a bicycle instead of driving a car. Heartbreaking, right? Well, stay with me. Because this story will not only break your heart but also heal it when fate allows an unexpected meeting with a millionaire who changes everything. But before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel because we bring you stories that touch your heart and remind you that miracles can happen when you least expect them. Delina pedaled hard through the morning air, her modest bicycle rattling on the uneven city road as she clutched her neatly ironed resume inside a worn leather folder. Her heart pounded, not just from the ride, but from the weight of her dreams. Today was her final chance to prove herself. She had applied to countless jobs, facing rejection after rejection, but this interview meant everything. She reached the tall glass building where polished cars gleamed in the parking lot. Men and women in tailored suits walked briskly, and she suddenly felt out of place as she parked her bicycle at the far end. Still, she straightened her simple white blouse, adjusted her skirt that had been carefully hand-sewn by her mother, and whispered, "Oh, you've got this." As she entered the lobby, the receptionist gave her a quick glance, her eyes sliding over the bicycle key dangling from Alina's bag, and her lips curved in a small, dismissive smirk. Alina ignored it, climbed the stairs with determination, and sat in the waiting room where other candidates scrolled on their sleek phones, their designer bags resting beside them. When her name was called, she walked into the interview room with hope radiating from her eyes, answering every question with honesty, passion, and intelligence. For a moment, she thought she impressed them, the way the panel nodded, the way one of them smiled at her dedication. But then, one of the senior interviewers leaned back, looked at her file, then glanced at her bag, and asked almost casually, "How did you get here today?" She replied softly, "I came by bicycle. I live nearby, so it's convenient." There was a brief silence, then a chuckle, then a disapproving shake of heads. "Oh, by bicycle?" another said, his voice laced with disbelief. "We're looking for someone who represents our company with professionalism. You can't arrive at client meetings on a bicycle." Alina's face flushed, her heart sinking as she tried to explain that she could use public transport or arrange other means when required, but their minds were already closed. "Thank you for coming," they said flatly, handing her back the folder without even a handshake. She stepped out of the room, her eyes stinging, her knees weak. She had studied for years, fought poverty, worked evenings just to afford books, and now her chance was shattered not because of her ability, but because of the way she traveled. She walked outside, stood by her bicycle, and for a moment she wished she had never come, wishing she had something more, something they considered respectable. The world around her blurred with her unshed tears, and yet she forced herself to ride away, unaware that at that very moment, someone had been watching. Across the street, a black luxury car had stopped at the signal, and inside sat a man in his mid-30s, sharply dressed, yet with a warmth in his eyes that contrasted his powerful aura. His name was Ayan, a millionaire entrepreneur known for building companies from the ground up, but what set him apart was his belief in people, not appearances. He noticed the girl with the bicycle, her fragile shoulders trembling, her eyes red, and something tugged at his heart. The light turned green, but he didn't move. Instead, he told his driver to wait, stepping out and approaching her. "Excuse me," he said gently, his voice calm. Startled, Alina wiped her tears, trying to force a smile. "Yes?" she asked, embarrassed to be seen vulnerable. "I couldn't help noticing. You seem upset. Is everything all right?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "It's nothing. I'll be fine." But her voice cracked, betraying her pain. Ayan studied her for a moment, then said, "Sometimes, strangers are the easiest to talk to. What happened?" His sincerity disarmed her, and before she knew it, the story spilled out. How she had been rejected for arriving by bike, how her years of effort felt wasted, how society seemed to value cars more than character. When she finished, she looked away, ashamed of her outburst. But Ayan didn't laugh, didn't dismiss her. Instead, his eyes softened, and he said, "And do you know how I started my first company? I didn't even have a bicycle. I used to walk miles, sometimes run to meetings, because I couldn't afford the bus fare. People laughed at me too, but those who laughed, none of them are here today. And me? I built everything I have on persistence. CE, not appearances." Alina blinked at him, stunned. He smiled. "Would you be willing to meet me tomorrow at my office? I think I might have a place for someone like you, someone with fire in their heart." Her mouth fell open, uncertain whether to believe him. "But why me?" she whispered. "Because I saw strength in you," he said simply. "And because the world needs people who don't give up." The next morning, Alina arrived again by bicycle, though this time her heart carried a strange mix of nerves and hope. She stood outside a sleek glass tower, far grander than the building where she had been humiliated the day before, and wondered if this was real. Was she foolish to believe a stranger? But when she stepped inside, she was greeted warmly by a receptionist who already seemed to know her name. "Mr. Ayan is expecting you," the woman said kindly, guiding her upstairs. The office she entered was breathtaking, floor-to-ceiling windows opening to the city skyline, bookshelves lined with volumes of knowledge, and at the center, Ayan himself, standing by the desk, smiling. "Welcome, Alina," he said. "So I'm glad you came." She sat down, her palms sweating, but he immediately put her at ease. "So I asked my assistant to look into your background. Your academic record is outstanding. You've balanced work and studies in a way most people would give up on. That's resilience, and resilience is what I value most in my team." Alina's lips parted, hope flaring in her chest. You mean, you're offering me a job?" He chuckled softly. "Not just a job, an opportunity. I want you to join my company, not at the bottom, but where your skills can grow. We'll train you, guide you, but your spirit, that's what I'm investing in." Tears brimmed in her eyes and she whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" Ayan leaned back, his voice calm but steady. "Because I see myself in you. Because I want to prove that talent has nothing to do with the vehicle you ride. And maybe because I believe that those who are overlooked by the world often have the greatest fire to succeed." For the first time in days, Alina smiled. Wide, genuine, glowing. As weeks passed, she transformed from the timid girl on the bicycle to a confident professional, her brilliance shining in projects that left even senior managers in awe. She became known for her fresh ideas, her work ethic, and the compassion she carried into every task. Yet she never forgot where she started. She still arrived by bike most days, her colleagues eventually admiring her humility rather than mocking it. One evening, as she stood outside, unlocking her bicycle after a long but fulfilling day, Ayan approached her once again. "Still riding, I see," he said with a grin. She laughed. "It's who I am." He nodded, his eyes reflecting pride. "And that's why you'll go." Alina's journey had changed not just her life, but the way those around her looked at the meaning of success. People began to whisper not about the girl on the bike, but about the girl who turned rejection into triumph, and the mentor who believed in her when no one else did. And as for Alina, she carried one truth in her heart forever, that sometimes being judged unfairly is the world's way of redirecting you to something greater. So, to all those watching this story right now, remember, your worth is not measured by the car you drive, the clothes you wear, or the way the world sees you. Your worth is in your resilience, your kindness, and your refusal to give up. And if life ever pushes you down, don't stop pedaling, because your breakthrough might be waiting just around the corner. And before you go, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because we have so many more stories that will inspire you, heal you, and remind you that miracles can be real, even in the most ordinary of moments.